Okay, let's go back now to one of our top stories. For months now, ANC workers nationally have been struggling to get their salaries from the organization. In August, the party resorted to fundraising in order to pay staff. Today, some staff members on a nationwide strike against this picketing in different parts of the country. They were also in Cape Town showing how unhappy they are. Lindsay Dentlinger is joining us now from our studios in Cape Town to tell us what happened there in the ANC protest. Good afternoon, Lindsay. Just give us an update. I mean, how did that picket or that strike or protest, I really don't know what's the appropriate word to use now, how did it go?
Well, Dan, it was a very peaceful lunchtime picket of just less than 20 workers who work in the ANC head office here in Cape Town, coming out, holding posters, singing some songs and just making people aware of the fact that they're going into their 4th month now of not having received their salaries. They say this is the most uncaring ANC national leadership they've ever worked under. And Dan, they are now taking legal advice and in the process of becoming unionized and are not ruling out heading to the CCMA to try to break this impasse. They say the leadership has not been negotiating in good faith, that they have not heard from them since early October and they've just been left in the lurch, and in the meantime they're losing their possessions, they're losing access to medical treatment, they're losing policies, funeral benefits and others that they've had for many years because they just can't afford their daily life because they just haven't been paid since the start of August, Dan.
Yeah, there was that petition that was handed in, a letter of demands by the workers to the ANC leadership in July. Did you get a sense from them today, those who were picketing, whether or not they've had any response? Because I think if they have had, they would not have been picketing. And I wonder how they feel about it.
So, Dan, the person who is negotiating on their behalf, saying that, the national leadership just not coming to the party, absolute silence, not hearing from them in terms of helping them at least meet them halfway. One of the ladies I spoke to said she had to take her son out of tertiary education because she could no longer afford his fees, and she wasn't quite prepared to throw in the towel on the ANC just yet. She said she had worked there as a volunteer first in 2009 and is now an administrator, fully paid worker of the ANC since 2012. But they were even prepared, Dan, to accept some part of their salary, but to get absolutely nothing, they say, is untenable. The Western Cape Provincial leadership said to me that they are working on their fundraising efforts, but that this was a national executive issue that had to be dealt with. Unfortunately, I've not been able to get an updated response from them as to what action they plan to take to try to alleviate these workers' plight. But certainly here in the Western Cape, the provincial leadership here is saying that they empathize with the workers and the hardships that they are going through. They're doing their best in trying to raise funds on the side as a fundraising initiative separate to that of the national executive, but no answers as to what is going to be done and should these workers end this November for the 4th consecutive month without receiving a single cent.
Yeah, just from that answer, there were one employee you spoke to who joined as a volunteer first in 2009 and has been working as administrator. It looks like she and maybe others have adopted a very reasonable approach or sensible approach to this, and one wonders how long will the patience run? Did you get a sense that some of them have got a time, like they've put on the ground to say, if this thing is not resolved by this time, as you said, we're going to try and use the law?
That seems to be the route that they're choosing, Dan. When I asked some of them why they would not seek alternative employment, they said to leave here would mean that they would leave with absolutely nothing. They allege that the Provident Fund contributions have not been paid for 3 years. Their medical aid is on and off. And in actual fact, the staff organizer who has been negotiating with national leadership saying he was due to undergo an operation later this month, but 1 month the medical aid gets paid. paid, and then they have access to treatment, and then the next month they don't. But most of them don't seem to be prepared to leave completely, because then they say they will leave with absolutely nothing, and all those contributions they've made to Provident and medical aid funds over the years, they're hoping that those can be restored, and if they left, they would have none of that, Dan. So their recourse now really appears to be hoping that the union will fight this battle on their behalf. Up until now, they've not been unionized, and when I asked why not, they said because they never felt the need to be unionized. They always trusted in their ANC leadership. They never believed that they would be left in the lurch like this, but they seem to have no other choice but to take this to the CCMA to try to negotiate a settlement for them.
Thank you very much for that update, Lindsay Dentlinger, in our studios in Cape Town.